For 10,000 cycles, the galaxy believed itself balanced. Empires rose and collapsed according to treaties etched into quantum archives and guarded by the Concordance Council. Wars were declared, logged, arbitrated, and remembered. Every battle left data scars across official memory. Every loss was counted. And then there was the battle no one recorded. It began without a declaration, without warning beacons or political theater. On the outer edge of mapped space, where the star vial burned blue and unstable. A place considered strategically irrelevant. Too distant for fleets, too quiet for ambition. The only witnesses were traders who never returned and sensor buoys that went permanently dark. At first, the Council classified the silence as malfunction. Radiation storms were blamed, then pirates, then clerical oversight. But silence has weight, and this silence grew heavier with every passing cycle. Entire relay routes vanished. Navigation charts contradicted themselves. Ships exited hyperspace, light years off target or not at all. Astrophysicists argued over gravitational anomalies, while admirals argued over whose jurisdiction it was to care. The truth was simpler and far more terrifying. Something had fought there. Something powerful enough to bend spacetime, erase signatures, and leave no survivors to speak. Deep beneath the Council's spire, an archivist named Lyra Chen noticed the first inconsistency. She was human, which already made her an outlier among elder species. Her task was monotonous, cross-verifying battle records against raw sensor feeds. She noticed a temporal gap, exactly 17 minutes long, repeated across multiple systems. 17 minutes where everything went wrong. Stars flickered out of phase. Quantum clocks desynchronized. Military AIs returned null results where entire fleets should have been. Lyra flagged the anomaly. The system rejected her request. She flagged it again. The system locked her credentials. That was when she understood. The battle wasn't missing. It was buried. Meanwhile, far beyond the Council's reach, a lone ship drifted near the Vile Star. Its hull was scorched, its insignia stripped away by energy weapons unknown to any database. Inside, the crew was dead, except for one. A soldier wearing no rank, no faction colors. Just a cracked helmet and eyes that reflected starlight like broken glass. He recorded a final message, voice steady despite the chaos around him. If anyone finds this, know that the balance is already broken. We were sent to stop it. We failed. And the galaxy will pretend this never happened. But the war has already been decided. The transmission never reached its destination. But the universe heard it anyway. The unrecorded battle did not begin with fleets. It began with a single human task force exiting hyperspace where no hyperspace lane existed. 6 ships against an enemy no one had officially acknowledged. Their orders were classified beyond Council authority. Even the admirals believed it was a training exercise. The enemy emerged from folded reality itself. Not ships in the traditional sense, but geometric impossibilities, angles that hurt to perceive, hulls that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. They moved without engines, without exhaust, without regard for inertia. Human sensors screamed warnings that made no sense. Mass readings fluctuated. Energy signatures reversed polarity. Causality itself lagged behind motion. The first human ship died before its crew understood it was under attack. A silent compression collapsed it into a sphere smaller than a shuttle. No explosion, no debris, just absence. Human commanders adapted instantly. Rail cannons fired blind. Missiles detonated early to flood space with shrapnel and plasma. Electronic warfare units burned themselves out trying to map targets that refused to stay mapped. What saved them was not technology. It was doctrine. Human fleets were trained to fight without certainty, to assume sensors were lying, to trust pattern recognition, intuition, and redundancy over perfect data. They began firing where the enemy would be, not where it was. They sacrificed ships to force reactions. They let themselves be hit to learn how the weapons worked. The battle lasted 17 minutes. 17 minutes where the laws of physics bent like heated metal. Where stars dimmed under energy loads never meant to exist. Where reality screamed and no one listened. The enemy was not defeated. It was contained, forced into a gravitational collapse, seeded by human black box technology outlawed by the Council centuries earlier. The cost was catastrophic. 4 ships destroyed, 2 barely functional, entire crews lost to spatial shear or temporal displacement. When it ended, nothing remained but wreckage and distorted space. No clean victory, no parade, no data fit for public archives. That was why it was erased. The Council could not record a battle that proved its laws were obsolete, could not admit humans had broken every treaty to save a galaxy that would never thank them. So the record was sealed. Witnesses reassigned or silenced. Survivors labeled unstable or classified dead. But balance does not care about politics. It remembers violence. And the galaxy began to tilt. The effects of the unrecorded battle spread slowly, then all at once. Trade alliances failed without explanation. Ancient species withdrew from shared space, citing omens and ancestral warnings. Stars previously stable began exhibiting unpredictable behavior. The Council blamed natural entropy. They always did. Lyra Chen went underground. Locked out of official systems, she relied on smuggled data and forbidden archives. Patterns emerged that no one wanted to see. The 17-minute gap appeared again. Not as a battle this time, but as disasters. Colonies lost contact for exactly 17 minutes before vanishing. Defense platforms fired on nothing and tore themselves apart. Civilizations centuries old simply ended between one transmission and the next. Something was probing the wound left near Vile, testing the galaxy's defenses. Learning, Lyra traced the anomaly to human Black Ops channels. Records marked with kill phrases instead of names. One phrase appeared repeatedly. Balance Shatter Protocol. The protocol was not a weapon. It was a contingency, a recognition that the galaxy's idea of equilibrium was a lie. Humanity had learned something the elder races refused to accept. That balance maintained by stagnation invites extinction. That survival sometimes requires breaking the scale entirely. The lone surviving soldier became a myth among fringe networks. A ghost who appeared on damaged stations and vanished before authorities arrived. He warned where he could, sabotaged where necessary, leaving behind the same message encoded in different ways. You cannot restore what was never stable. When the enemy returned, it did not attack fleets. It attacked infrastructure, communication, logistics, trust. Empires turned on each other, assuming betrayal. Old grudges resurfaced. The Council fractured into voting blocs that no longer spoke. And through it all, humans prepared. Quietly, without permission, without allies, because they remembered the battle, even if the galaxy pretended it never happened. The final collapse did not look like war. There were no grand armadas or heroic last stands broadcast across stars. There was only failure, systems failing together. When the enemy emerged fully this time, there was no council to respond, no unified command, no shared doctrine. Only human fleets moved with purpose, not to defend the old balance, but to end the conflict on their terms. They detonated stars to deny territory, collapsed hyperspace corridors permanently, sacrificed entire sectors to seal dimensional breaches. It was brutal, efficient, final. The enemy was destroyed at a cost the galaxy would never fully comprehend. Not because humans were stronger, but because they accepted loss as the price of survival. When it was over, the stars burned differently. Borders meant nothing. The Council existed only as a cautionary tale. History would later claim the galaxy simply changed. That balance evolved naturally. That no single battle decided everything. But somewhere in forbidden archives and whispered legends, the truth survived. The galaxy's balance shattered in one unrecorded battle. And humanity made sure it stayed broken long enough for life to continue.